changed which live chat box was open. You should play something so you can stop talking and not feel guilty about it. Why don't you play some of the iStock wiggle so we
right? This is about making the cookies because the cookies are being made whether you like it or not. I can sit over in the corner and say, no, I'm going to make my own damn cookies. Good luck with that. Nobody's going to eat them, and they're going to taste like shit anyways. And you're going to be sitting there eating them like, oh, yeah, I really like my damn cookies. Yeah, and you're lying to everybody.
That's not the part that the audio's at. Hi everybody, I'm live on the internet. Look, you're watching. No, you're not, but maybe you're watching the video later. Who knows? Wow, it's weird. So, hi, welcome to Wednesday Wiggle, which is part of the virtually not alone network thing, because you know, when you're hearing my voice, you're virtually not alone. Like you got other voices besides the one in your skull that you're hearing, and the wiggling is part of the Beholder project, because there's this from the PVK bump video with the dancing on the hill. So the wiggle, and like I'm an eye stalk in the Beholder. Like this is also a big eye, but that's extra complicated. I hear cats fighting outside. I have to go yell at them. So for my own peace of calm mind, here's more of the last wiggle from Saturday or something.
Force. Some mica, shale, limestone.
So
I'm a rock hound. At least I was in my old life. I'd like to be again on a limited basis.
I'd make you grateful somehow. And then that would, you know what I mean? Okay, so you're just saying that, like, you know that at that point, that was true. When he said those words, that was true.
It was true for him.
Okay. So when like your human equipment is operating at that exact same frequency, you too are incorrect. That's just so weird. I mean, it's like in that, you know, mode of operation. That harmonic hum. You shush. But this part, because nobody makes it to the end. Check this part up.
This need to be seen. And I think part of what a theistic culture offered was the knowledge broadly put out into the world that even if what has now become sort of this media eye of Sauron, which sees, you know, hobbits and orcs and wizards, even if we are not seen by the big media eye of mass media, or even getting status on the social media platforms, you are seen by God, and you finally live before.
Twas that Eye of Sauron bit I wanted to draw to your attention. You know, if that's going on. And like, I really fucking nailed it in the video that I unfortunately for everyone named I Got My Mind Set on. Oh, I don't think he'll ever be my real friend now. I don't think he can ever forgive me. But, come here. The best and most flexible components they can be. And what Tyler Durden's thing was he replaced the meta myth. Oh, this is the bit of a God that so loved the world he gave his only son to help redeem it, or just to blanket redeem it. To this one here.
You are not
job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet.
You're not your gender. You're your secret, sacred self. Ta-da! That was it. That was when I nailed it right there. I hope you enjoyed that. That gold mine clip from the Grim Grizz whatever's. Let me try real hard to do the Beholder project, and special shout out to Seshat, and also our shadow cabal of production executives. So far, Gideon. Now, come on. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Now we're going to do... Oh. There is no agency. We want what's best for you. The Dissociated Press. Brought to you by the Dissociated Press. Part of the Virtually Not Alone. Wait, guys, hold on. Let's look. Present. The Dissociated Press presents the Beholder Project. Part of the LARPgate reality augmenting game. Alright, so here we go. Nope. There we go. So a beholder, ladies and gentlemen, is a monster in the Dungeons and Dragons. It looks very much like this. You start with let's grab a nice brush here, happy little trees. You go, it's a big eyeball, so you go Now, in the Beholder project, the eyeball is kind of a projector. The big one in the middle, but that's complicated. So right now, we'll just give it a little eye, make it a little eyeball, happy little eyeball. Okay, so it's like that, and then it's like this bulbous body, like this here. And we'll just color that in like that. And then the thing of it is, right, it's got this eyeball here. An extra eyeball, just like this. Why? Why would such a thing even think it's monsters? It's not just it's a thing, okay? It's a thing. And it's got a little blue eye, happy little blue eye stalk there. And this is an eye stalk. No, this color. And this is an eye stalk. Now, in the project, when I do one of these eye stalk wiggle things, like this stream here, where I go through my own internet viewing history and go through the parts the things I spent hours watching, and I pull out the good bits and give to you, that is a recursion of my history, a history recursion that I'm doing as a little eye stalk. And I wiggle, and since I'm the only eye stalk doing the wiggle, that's the only thing coming out the big... You're not even showing the right thing. Since I'm the only eye stalk doing the wiggle, that's the only thing coming out the big eye. But now, Gavin did the horrible... I mean, first, great. He actually did one. So there was at least... There's two wiggles going on. Now, he didn't edit down the in between the wiggle, so like there's way too much of his video is like I'll show you. He put it out there, right? Let me find it here. Hold on. Here, let's go back to my awesome.
Around the world, part of this is being done in. This sounds again like.
Grim Grizz channel, you're already. That's fucking meta. Okay, so here's Gavin's wiggle. 2021, he did a Halloween wiggle. Let's take a close examination and criticize it until he's dead. Here we have, like, you're showing the whole history. That's fine if you're doing it live, but you got to cut it out for the finished product.
Nicole,
You know I can't let you do that.
suddenly you discover humanity. Convenient.
Believe in yourself and you'll find your way. Life starts with a spark.
Now see, what happened here was let's not do music, anybody. That we have like special places in the Discord called Speak Song to share music, and these are eyeballs, not the ear holes. I don't know. It just seems, you know. But what happened was he clicked into the song and it was already playing at a timestamp, which means if you're gonna set up to do a recursion, it'll pop into the video where you were watching it last, because you don't delete your cookies. So you can avoid the poking around part. What I like to do is when you see me poking around, most of the time it's because I'm doing a random jump to somewhere in the video, much like this one.
Cause there's nothing that we can't do. And I'll be alright.
And revealed them to little children. Like a splinter in your mind. Yes, Father, for this is what you were pleased to do. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Rest. Rest.
What you know you can't explain, but you feel it.
Rest. Sophisticated Christians don't seem to benefit much from this passage.
Alright, maybe Flow-Fi doesn't count. See, those are all fine, it's just not clean. And like I can't, like if I'm running your eye stalk wiggle in front of everybody else, I'm showing them. Okay, so there's Gavin's wiggling eye. And now both of those have been projected to you via the big eye that is this live stream at the moment. But so the point is, if more people do wiggles, we'll get to the point where we're deciding which wiggles to show as part of the show. And it's like it's essentially a fractal of kindergarten show and tell. Like we're all, if we all group up as people who watch Vanderklay in the mornings or whatever, and then we have these show and tell episodes of going through what else we're watching on YouTube, then it's like the pool of awareness. And then the best comes out, we're scraping off the shoulders of the giants, and then the best comes out of the big eyeball. Okay, so there's Beholder Basics. And then I'll get on with my wiggling. Let's start today's wiggle with a good old fresh scary drop from Papa Peterson himself. The actor dropped today. I'm sure you all saw my coverage of the other Yahoo one yesterday. If not, YouTube will probably feed it to you if you're a subscriber. You know, there's a subscribe button down there. You can click on that. Oh, wait, no, put this one here.
God help me if my vision in this regard is clouded by my own presumption. But I see an actor, not a real boy.
And now since I saw that and brought it to the beholder, you have seen it too. Isn't that weird? And now, one of the reasons I so wanted to turn this next appearance I made into a beholder thing was because, like, I don't know, a week ago or whatever, going so far down in my history, I'm not going to be able to find it anymore, and I'm going to have to remember it the hard way. It was like Academy of Ideas finally covered Panopticons. And the thing of that is, like, if you've infiltrated my Discord, you may know that one of the rooms at the very top is like, we need to talk about Panopticon. Yes, it's called Smartphones and the Social Media, a Mass Surveillance Dystopia. And here's a random sampling for the beholding.
philosopher Jeremy Bentham, and as Weissman explains, the core of the Panopticon's design consists of a roundhouse with prison cells encircling all sides, visibly open, light shining upon them, and stacked on top of each other to form circular walls. In the center is a watchtower, which is cleverly installed with a combination of Venetian blinds and mirrors, so that inmates in their cells, all at an equal distance from the tower, can never be sure if they are being watched by the guard. A smartphone in every pocket, smart devices all around us, and all constantly connected to the internet, has created a variation of the Panopticon that does away with the need for any special architectural design. We are surrounded by a public who embodies the potential gaze of guards. At any moment, our actions can be recorded by another person and displayed to hundreds, thousands, or even millions of people for quick and sometimes ruthless judgment.
I feel like a Muppet. I'm on my way up!
But we'll see that this pattern of crossing rivers and the relationship with monsters, and also even the notion of a trick being played, and let's say being both playing tricks and being the subject of tricks, will be an interesting way to understand what happens at the end of a world.
And this is what Chris and I call the growing meaning crisis, because the zombie represents a loss of meaning. This culture is zeroing in on a mythology, a mythic representation that is trying to give expression, trying to articulate something that is going profoundly wrong. We're trying to create an image, we're trying to create a narrative, we're trying to give, speech and picture to something that is very pervasive, very profound, but very hard to articulate. Zombie.
And it's true. Like, it doesn't mean that it's just, it is relative in that it's personal, because, I'm going to read, if I were to read The Road or Lord of the Rings or anything artistic, we're objectively looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
If you go to a book club, everybody brings different things out of that and sees different things, because we're all unique persons. And so what pops out and is salient to you is different.
Your participation is necessary within applicability.
Yes.
Whereas your participation is contingent with allegory. If you try to read Atlas Shrugged,
you're a loafer. You're not contributing to the social welfare. And so in this way, the artist has a peculiar role in this society. Very, very interesting. Because the artist is a very deceptive fellow. He appears to be the supreme luxury, the irrelevant fellow. You can afford an artist. You can afford to buy paintings if you have surplus money. That's a luxury. So you can support an artist, and we call it fine arts. The completely useless person who makes paintings.
Listen, there ain't no shame on that here. Use my hanky. There you go ahead.
The national income of Britain, GDP as it's called, had fallen by more than 20%. Hospital, they buy the company, and then they create two companies. One that owns the buildings and all the fixed assets, and the other that provides the services. And the second company sells the services to the first company. The first company has assets, buildings, so they go to the bank and they get a huge loan using as collateral the buildings of the first company. They take this money and they give it to themselves, they pay themselves. They give it to the shareholders. They pocket it, they put it in their money. Now, this whole company will never have a profit because the second company will owe huge quantities of money to the first company, and therefore they will never pay any tax. Because if you have no profits, there's no tax.
I don't want to sit down and twiddle my thumbs as Rome burns around me. Like the Christians, they will actually offer quite a genuine way to take a step forward, because they're like, look, we'll literally have communities that will survive any type of infrastructure collapse, so you're going to be all right here. That's definitely a massive upside.
I need to go anyways. We've been going for like an hour and a half. I saw like a 15-year-old come up to his friends and say, oh, I read this short story. I'd like to read it to you guys. Would you be interested? And everybody sits down and he reads a short story to them. And so it was just like this completely crazy world. So I brought my son, I went there one time and I was like, this is amazing. So I brought my son there the next year and he loved it. And this summer he asked me, he said, Dad, I want to go to Saskatoon. I want to spend the summer there. And he's 16 and he's like, this is what he wanted. He said, if I stay here, I'm going to be on my computer. I'll be playing Minecraft. I'll be on my phone. He's like, I want to go there. And so we sent him there for to work there. He worked like construction. Yeah. And every, twice a week, they would have parties with these different families and play soccer. And
now, all they are driven by a sort of energy manifestation. I agree. And you see, the meaning of the word sexuality would be entirely gone if everything is that.
Is that hard to simulate? Or if I was to add like a polynomial number of those in, like that definitely is hard to simulate. But like what's the in between,
Career. Well, masters, like Leonardo, are people who hear that voice and they hear it so strongly that they stay true to it throughout the course of their life. You could draw a line from that 8-year-old boy to the 64-year-old man who's on his deathbed. That doesn't mean that they take wrong paths, that sometimes the voice goes away a little bit and they try something that doesn't suit them. That happens, but they hear it again, they find their way back to that path, and they continue all the way to the end of their life.
Can we, and how would we, close that shared fantasy space, or is that even a useful thing to attempt to do?
The minute you recover your memories and distinguish the fake or inauthentic introjects from the authentic introject, the shared fantasy cannot continue. Shared fantasy relies critically on dissociation, on dissociation and the suspension of a state of self, of a constellated self. So self is a defense against such intrusions. The self has boundaries. So the self is a defense against the world. It's where the boundary is where your self ends and the world begins. When the self is not constellated, is porous, and so on, you have psychosis. The psychotic person confuses internal objects with external